Ashana, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Ches. We've just spoken in the previous Mishnah about the importance of Kavanos Halev, and we spoke about whether mitzvahs tzrichas kavana, mitzvahs ein tzrichas kavana. And on this track, the next Mishnah begins to talk about as well the importance of kavana in a slightly more agadic track. And the Mishnah starts off by referring to an incident that is mentioned in Parshas Beshalach. It's talking about a time when the Yidden had come out of Mitzrayim and they were attacked by Amalek. Moshe Rabbeinu organized that Yehoshua should take a band of men and fight against Amalek. Moshe himself went up to the top of a hill and he davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Pasuk tells us that as long as Moshe Rabbeinu raised his hands, the Yidden were victorious and they were stronger. When Moshe lowered his hands, Amalek became stronger. So the Mishnah starts by quoting the Pasuk in Parshas Beshalach. V'hoyon it was, Kasher Yorim Moshe Yodoi, when Moshe raised his hands, V'gova Yisrael, the Yidden were stronger. Fake the Mishnah Akasha, asked the Mishnah, V'chi Yodo shal Moshe oisais milchama oishavos milchama? Did the hands of Moshe Rabbeinu have the koyach, have the power to be able to win war or to lose war? Elaloi malach, this is telling you, Kol zman shehoyu Yisrael mistaklin klapi malo. As long as the Yidden brought their attention upwards, heavenwards, towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or meshabdim es libam la'avim shebashamayim, and subjugated their hearts to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to our Father in heaven, hoyu miskabrim, then they were stronger. V'im lav, but if they didn't, if their concentration waned, hoyu noiflim, then they would fall. In other words, the Tefes Yisrael explains, the raising of Moshe's hands was a signal to the Yidden that they should direct their attention upwards. They should direct their attention to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Chassam Sofer brings down that normally when a person is in battle, he must concentrate with all his powers of concentration on everything going on around him. He must look to where the enemy is and how to defeat them. Here, however, the Yidden were on such a madrega that their concentration was not on the battlefield. Their concentration was upwards. The concentration was to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mashal brings down that the raising of the hands of Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't so much a signal, but it was a reflection of where the Yidden stood. As long as the Yidden were fully concentrating their tefillahs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu had the strength in his hands to keep his hands raised up. But as long as the concentration of the Yidden began to wane a little bit, Moshe Rabbeinu's hands became weak and they fell. The Mishnah continues, Kayotze badova ata omer. Similar to this, you can say, you find, another incident, the incident brought in Parshas Chukas. Again, we're talking about when the Yidden were in the Midbar, and they had the mon to eat, and they had the be'er for the water, but nevertheless they complained. They complained they were hungry, they complained they were thirsty, they were kofui toiv, they were ungrateful for the mon that they had received. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent a plague of fiery serpents, fiery snakes, which bit some of the Yidden and killed them. The Yidden then realized that they had done something wrong. They went to Moshe Rabbeinu and asked Moshe to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take away this plague. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe that Moshe should make a snake out of brass, and whoever would look at that snake would be healed. So the Mishnah quotes the Pasuk, Asei lechol saraf, make for yourself a fiery serpent, v'sim oisei al nes, and put it on a pole, v'hoyon it will be, Kol hanoshach, anyone who is bitten by the snakes, v'ro oisai, they should look at this brass snake that you have made, v'choy, and they will live. Fragt the Mishnah Akasha, v'chi nochash memes oy nochash mechaya? Does this snake have the power to heal or the power to kill? Ella, bizman sheyisol mistaklin klapi malo. As long as the Yidden were looking up to the snake and their attention was directed upwards, and they subjugated their hearts to their Father in heaven, they would be healed. But if they lost their concentration and they didn't daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they didn't subjugate their hearts to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then they would perish. That ends the Agadic part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah now ends with a halacha and tells us, Cheirish shoita v'kotten. Cheirish refers to a deaf person. Normally, when we use the term cheirish, we're talking about a deaf and a dumb person, but here it's only referring to a deaf person. Shoita, a person with certain limited intellectual capabilities, an imbecile. the Gemara in Chagiga defines a shaita as somebody who destroys everything you give him. The cotton and a minor, somebody, a boy under the age of 13, under the age of bar mitzvah. Ein maitzien es arabim yedei chayvoson. All of these three people, the chavish, the shaita, and the cotton, are not able to be maitzi other people their obligation in a mitzvah. For instance, in Tekiyah Shofar or in Megillah. Zeh haklal, and this is the general rule. Kol she'ena mechuyuv b'davar. Anybody who is not themselves mechuyuv in keeping a mitzvah, as these three people are not, a chavish, a shaita, and a cotton are all part of the mitzvahs, ein maitzi es arabim yedei chayvoson, are not able to be mighty other people, to enable other people to fulfill their obligation of being mekayim this mitzvah. First, the Gemara explains that this is only talking about somebody who is not mechuyev at all. But if somebody is mechuyev, only they've already been mekayim the mitzvah, they still have the ability, because of kol yisrael arevim zeh lo zeh, all Yidden are dependent upon each other, all Yidden are there to help each other, to help other Yidden fulfill mitzvahs. Therefore, even if a person who is obligated to keep a mitzvah has already himself fulfilled that mitzvah, he still does have the ability to help somebody else be mitzi that same mitzvah. The Ad Kan, Mishnah Ches.